Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, I hope that you're all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night, wherever you guys are out there in the world. So, with that in mind, let's dive on in. So, for the last couple weeks, months, and even the last couple years, let's be honest, we have been putting a spotlight on what the Bank for International Settlements has been doing. Why? Well, because this is the central bank of central banks. This is where all of those big players are really kind of sitting around making the changes around our current monetary system. And ultimately, they are one of the major architects around our current financial system itself. And they do make changes globally for money and how money moves, how money works. They have always had a hand in the pot when it comes to that. But regardless, in recent time, they have been talking heavily about what they want to do. Now, notice the wording when they do talk about anything regarding the financial system. Notice how they don't say crypto specifically. They never mention a crypto project by name. They only mention DLT, or they'll say something similar in terms of like digital assets, or they never actually give us a clear view on what they're doing, because again, they want to make it as confusing and as complicated as possible. But we read between the lines and we decipher all of the lizard talk, essentially. So let's tap on in to this post here from the BIS, and we have: sometimes we need giant leaps that deliver a fundamental rethink of the financial system and foster the development of entirely new architectures. This is Augustin Carstens, guys, at the BIS Innovation Summit. Dropping bombs as usual. These are major statements, because not only do they confirm that we are about to see major changes happening around our financial system, but they're also telling us, like, hey, this is happening. We are ready. And over here, we have from Smoke Dog. Big shout out to Smoke Dog, by the way. If you're not following him, what are you guys doing? Go check him out. He's an incredible researcher. But we have: under the regulatory scrutiny of international standards from the Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure, CPMI, of the BIS, crypto assets can be recognized as part of formal payment systems. Ripple and XRP fall within the system, not Bitcoin, not Ethereum. And here we have within this, and by the way, he's quoting the BIS article. Here we have, or the post by the BIS, and in this article, we actually have: the most common issue in such jurisdictions is whether crypto assets can be recognized as a part of the formal payment system, which in most jurisdictions draw regulatory scrutiny, typically from the central bank under international standards from the Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructures of the Bank for International Settlements. Remember that the CPMI is that group that Ripple is on with the BIS. That's right. Ripple's already working with the BIS on the CPMI group with Swift and all of those big players like Citi as well. But wait, we're not supposed to know that. We're not supposed to look into that, right? Comical. The question of whether a given crypto asset will be recognized as part of the formal payment system will largely depend on how it is meant to be used in a given jurisdiction. Bitcoin and Ether often fall outside, while Ripple and XRP often fall within the system. Interesting. So as we look at this, right, how are they classifying this? How are they looking at XRP? Well, we have: this is because formal payment systems are generally closed loop systems. If some crypto assets can be integrated into the formal payment system, they can then be used as a settlement vehicle, not as a medium of exchange. That means that they're technically looking at XRP with what Ripple is trying to do as a settlement vehicle. This is very interesting. And they're specifically saying that Bitcoin and Ether often fall outside, while Ripple and XRP often fall within the system. Very, very interesting. Big shout out to Smoke Dog, like I said. Now, beyond that, we also got another post from the BIS, pretty much the same exact day, to create a coherent vision of the future financial system. We will have to supplement cutting-edge technologies with an efficient economic and financial architecture and robust governance and regulatory arrangements. There you have it. From the BIS, the central bank of central banks themselves, telling you exactly what is going on right now. Again, we have been talking about this for a very long time. We have been addressing what they have been doing for a very long time. And now they are literally telling you their vision. They're saying for a future financial system, we have to supplement these cutting edge technologies with an efficient economic and financial architecture. And we also need governance and regulatory clarity in mind. So already we have standards in place. Okay. We're starting to see the architecture being created through the unified ledger, which is like a multi-ledger future that they're looking at, which is already happening. It's already becoming a reality. Quant is already tapped in on a lot of those initiatives around API plug and play, but then also regulations. Guys, regulatory movements have been heating up in just the last couple months alone. We know over the course of the next year or two, we should have regulations around crypto. And then the game is truly on. That is when everyone that has been paying attention will soon see why it was worth the wait, why we have been talking about this, why we have been addressing this for so long. Now, beyond this, you might be questioning, why is XRP not being utilized at scale right now? Why isn't HBAR being utilized at scale right now? Big shout out to Crypto Darren, Fame 21 more. Banks aren't, that's right, they're not allowed to use public ledgers at this time. Check it out.
We've seen JP Morgan go the route of a private blockchain, for example. What was the decision process in terms of picking public versus private?
Well, so banks are subject to different regulations than, let's say, asset managers or us. We're a registered transfer agent with the SEC and a broker-dealer. We're subject to SEC regulations. Banks are subject to OCC regulations. And currently in the US, the OCC is recommending banks not to use public blockchains as kind of like underlying financial service infrastructure. We don't have the same kind of restrictions. And I do believe that public blockchains is where the innovation will happen because of the compositability of being able to do things on top of it, etc. If you want to understand the differences, it's similar to when Internet started and you have, American Online and MSN that were close. And then you have the public internet, and the public internet is where the innovation happened, right? Because anybody could actually build things on top of what somebody else was building, right? So long term, I think that public blockchains is where the future is and where innovation will happen. And unfortunately, banks have restrictions, and they're still trying to be innovative, like JP Morgan with Onyx, but subject to what the regulators allow them to do.
Well, let's talk about the regulators. I'm curious.
And we do know, and by the way, this is from Securitize's CEO, but we already know right now that TradFi institutions and major players, they want to and they prefer utilizing public ledgers. They don't want to utilize private ledger technology, but right now there's a lot of obstacles in the way. So they have to pioneer their own private ledger technology to actually utilize this technology. But by doing so, everyone has always flipped out and said, oh, they're using private ledgers. That means that XRP is not usable. It's actually wrong to think like that, because what's happening is they have to utilize their private ledger technology because they want to utilize this technology, but they can't in terms of those public ledgers because there's obstacles in the way. So what are they doing? Well, they're utilizing the next best thing, which is private ledgers, but they want to utilize those public ledgers, but they just can't right now. Beyond this, big shout out to Moonchaser 2020. We have currently in the US, banks are recommended not to use public blockchains. Yes, legacy financial institutions are slow to move, and regulators are even more cautious. This post will not argue the advantages and disadvantages of permission versus permissionless networks. Instead, it will emphasize how the tokenization of real-world assets is becoming an increasingly significant driver and pivotal point for the finance industry. The OCC, Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, referred to in this clip, is the primary regulator of banks chartered under the U.S. National Bank Act. Although the regulator is cautious about using technologies like DLT in the banking system, it recognizes its transformative potential. In particular, the attention of the financial industry in the digital asset space is shifting from crypto assets to the tokenization of real-world assets and liabilities. Tokenization is driven by solving real-world settlement problems and shows promising potential for development in a safe, sound, and fair manner. For further info in the U.S. context, see the report before the Subcommittee on Digital Assets Financial Technology and Inclusion Committee on Financial Services, United States House of Representatives, December 5th of 2023. But yeah, as we really look at what's going on right now around the space, guys, we know that the technology behind these technologies, it's extremely efficient. It's transformative. It's revolutionary. Banks are still on the back end. We're here before the big players. Remember that. That is so crucial to understand. We will continue to see regulators trying to attack this space from all fronts. And when I say that, I mean rogue regulators, not the ones that are, trying to push the space forward. No, we will continue to see major shakeouts, attacks on the space. We will see, things going belly up. We always have to make sure that we are cold storaging our crypto. Links down in the description below if you guys do want to go check it out. Yep, shameless plug. But regardless, right, we need to make sure that we are prepared for anything that is getting thrown at us, because they will continue to try to attack the space while letting in those big players one by one by one. And again, a lot of that changes once regulations are in place, because that's when the real value of these projects like XRP becomes realized in. Now, beyond this, there's also 2 videos that I do want to play regarding the BIS, and they're both posted by Subjective Views, and there's actually one by 801_XRP, if we can get to it, that I really want to play as well. The first one is Project mBridge update. At the BIS Org Innovation Summit 2024, the head of the BIS Innovation Hub Hong Kong Center unveils a testnet demo of a cross-border FX transaction between Hong Kong and Thailand on blockchain technology. Check it out. It's about roughly 3.5 minutes long.
That is on the testnet. It will continue to evolve. Some of the functionalities will continue to be designed and continue to be developed. So you can now turn to the video, please.
This is a demo of the mBridge platform user interface. Please note that what you will witness are dummy transactions and no real data is involved. For the sake of time, all interfaces have been logged in and wallets have been issued with CBDC. Let's first look at a central bank's view. In this case, it's that of the HKMA. As you can see, the interface has a dashboard that provides summary statistics of the transactions on the mBridge platform. On the left-hand side panel, we can see the various functionalities available to the central bank, including access approval rights to onboard selected domestic commercial banks, and the ability to set transaction limits and parameters, such as the maximum amount they can hold in their wallet or transact in a single cross-border payment. Central banks can also set alerts for foreign exchange rates agreed outside of a predetermined rate range for all currency pairs on the platform. They can also approve CBDC issuance and redemption requests and see their commercial banks on-bridge balances and transaction details. Here we have a Hong Kong commercial bank's interface, and suppose that its Hong Kong local corporate client wants to pay for the import of coconuts from a Thai corporate and has agreed to pay 400,000 Thai baht. As of now, the Hong Kong corporate's bank on mBridge has no e-Thai baht, so it initiates an FX transaction with a Thai bank to exchange e-Hong Kong dollar for 400,000 e-Thai baht. The maker enters the details, including the exchange rate that was agreed off the platform, selects the counterparty bank, and verifies the transaction with its security PIN. A series of compliance checks will happen in the background. The transaction then goes to the checker, who verifies the details and authorizes the transaction with the 6-digit PIN before it is sent to the counterparty Thai bank. If we now turn to the Thai bank's view, we can see that it has 10 minutes to accept the transaction, as shown here, after which the transaction will automatically fail if no action is taken. The Thai bank reviews the details and confirms the transaction. The atomic PVP exchange of both legs of the FX transaction now takes place. Within seconds, the transaction is added to the blockchain ledger once the block is validated. It is marked as successful, balances are updated, and the transaction is settled with finality. If we now go back to the Hong Kong bank's wallet balance, we can see that its e-Thai baht balance is updated to 400,000. With this e-Thai baht in its wallet, the Hong Kong bank can now pay the Thai corporate's local bank on mBridge 400,000 e-Thai baht for the coconuts. After inputting the transaction details and completing the necessary compliance and authorization checks, The payment is sent to the Thai corporate's local bank within a matter of seconds, and the cross-border payment for this international trade transaction between Hong Kong and Thailand is settled. This demonstrates the potential of faster, safer, cheaper, and more accessible cross-border payments on the mBridge platform.
Now, of course, when you really look at this full platform, it's very interesting because these platforms vary. They vary in the UI, they vary in how it works, but they all have a very, very similar structure to them, which means it could very well be a whitelisted product from some player in the space that is being tapped in. But we don't know, right? We don't know how this is going to fully work, but we do know some projects and some companies that have been tied to the BIS. And like I said, Ripple is one of those players. Quant is another one. We also know that there has been documents where Hedera is mentioned, and also even Stellar with XLM. Now, beyond that, we also have over here, Managing Director of the BIS, Augustin Carsten, states tokenized financial assets that can be brought on the unified ledger is an example of a giant leap in financial architecture. The Finternet is here. This goes back to those original posts by the BIS where Augustin Carsten was quoted regarding these giant leaps and financial technology as well. Let's play this video clip. It's about 4 minutes long. It's a little bit longer, but listen closely.
This is why I believe that sometimes we need giant leaps that deliver a fundamental rethink of the financial system and foster the development of entirely new architectures. Let me give you a concrete example of a giant leap. Tokenization is, in my view, a technology with transformative potential for the financial system. Tokenized digital assets contain both the information necessary to uniquely identify assets and their owners, as well as the rules and logic governing their use. When correctly used, tokens could increase the speed, lower the cost, and heighten the efficiency of financial transactions. Note my qualifier, correctly used. It is important. By themselves, tokenized assets could improve the financial system only incrementally. If tokens were to trade through existing financial pipes, they would have to rely on the same long and complex sequences of messages passed back and forth between financial institutions. And these complex sentences are the cause of many costs and delays in today's financial system. To unleash the promise of tokenization, i.e. to deliver a giant leap, we need to bring the different kinds of tokens together. Commercial bank money, central bank money, tokens on different assets. Unified ledgers are the platforms where this can happen. Once these different tokens are brought together in the same programmable platforms, new functionalities can be deployed, like smart contracts and composability. With them, sequences of transactions could be automated and seamlessly integrated. This would eliminate the need for manual interventions and redundant compliance controls, two issues that significantly delay transactions along the chain of a cross-border payment. It would also enable simultaneous instant payments and immediate and simultaneous settlement across a whole range of assets. Tokens could, in principle, contain any financial asset, but tokenized money is a core requirement. As Yuval Noah Harari, whom you will have the pleasure to listen to in this conference, said, "Money is the most universal and most efficient system of mutual trust ever devised." The unified ledger system would build on the trust of the two-tier system of today's financial system. All transactions are carried in commercial bank money, but their final settlement happens in central bank money. And even greater leaps are possible. In a recent paper, Nandan Nilekani and I laid out a vision of how multiple financial ecosystems can interact with each other to form the future financial system, which we have labeled Finternet. The Finternet would empower individuals and businesses by placing them at the center of their financial lives. Unified ledgers connected to each other through application programming interfaces play a central role in this vision. They would be accompanied by a rich canopy of associated financial applications and services, delivering more choice and lower costs to users.
So again, you know, when you listen to these conversations that they have and you hear the terms, right? Instant settlement, cross-border payments, like they're all fully focused on what these projects in this space that we have been highlighting have been focused on for so long, specifically Ripple and XRP. When we think about how big of a move that is happening right now around our current monetary system, and when we try to put it into perspective, like a lot of people are like, oh, I want this to happen next week. Guys, this is a fundamental change to the entire financial system. The Finternet is happening. It's here. It's coming. They are telling you this. Not a lot of people are paying attention. I see a lot of people say like, oh, well, why would they tell us this? Why are they telling us their entire plan? Guys, when they're talking about these things, how many people out there are actually paying attention? What percentage of the world is actually paying attention? That's why I say we will essentially be the new 1%, because we're the only ones that are actually paying attention to this. Now, I would play this last clip, but it's a little bit already too long, but I will say one quote here that comes to mind is this one from the video, which is, one option we are currently examining is we are creating a technological bridge between central bank cash settlement system and the external private platforms that manage tokenized digital assets. This option focuses on the use cases DVP settlement. Guys, who has been talking about a currency that will bridge central bank digital currencies? What company has been talking about this for years now? Ripple. XRP has always been spotlighted as the bridge currency between central bank cash. This is why I don't pay attention to all the negativity. I don't care about the FUD. Nothing bothers me anymore in this space when it comes to XRP, because I'm fully focused on the big picture. I'm diversified into all utility projects, essentially. I am paying attention to what the big players are telling us and their plan of action. And it is all aligned with what we originally thought anyways when it comes to Ripple and XRP. And the major change is happening. It's underway. It has already started. All we have to wait for is the full implementation. And yes, there's a few steps that still need to be taken, like regulations and things like that, but they are already in progress. All we have to do is wait. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. If you guys are more looking, follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.